Hello everyone and welcome back to another 5G recap. This week is week 3. Well, it's now week 4, but this is the recap of week 3. So let's have a look at the results. So first up were Damn Yankees versus a Fistful of Zeros. Um, so let me just quickly have a look at the match report for that one. So we see an unfortunate liner MVP for the Wood Elves. Dark Elves got an okay lineman MVP. It's 2-1 with quite a lot of KOs inflicted by the Damn Yankees, but no injuries caused on either side. And I can see on the match report that the Witch Elf leveled for the Damn Yankees. And so we have, I believe, the Wrestle Witch Elf is the one that leveled. Yes. So they've now got a Wrestle. They've also played their this week's game already. So this Wrestle and Monster Trucks and Captain America's level have already weren't on the team at that point. But still, this is looking like a very nice team. They've got all the positionals that they really want. I mean, occasionally you want a runner, but you probably want. So we've got 5 linemen and 6 positionals. So you might want to get another lineman just so you have a bench, or you can get a runner. But you have got enough of the linemen at the moment, but then you might want to save up, wait a little bit until you've got enough to replace a positional if needed. But yeah, looking strong. Shame that the plus strength splitter hasn't really developed at all. It would be nice to get Blodge on him just so that he can be more useful. But overall, pretty good team development for week 3. And so if we have a look at the Wood Elves, Fistful of Zeros, they have also played their week 2 match. So they didn't get any levels in the last one, and in the week 4 match, so they didn't have this tackle and they didn't have this block yet. But again, looking good. The plus strength Wood answer now with tackle is going to be even more of an annoying player to deal with. And having some developed linemen, you've got a bit of survivability with block and dodge. It is really nice. Even though you don't really have that many positionals, they've got the 3 rerolls and the apothecary. So I guess they're saving up for positionals now because it doesn't really make sense to replace linemen because they'll probably die, whereas a positional it's more valuable. So might be another catcher, might be a thrower, or they might be saving up for the tree. Who knows? But yeah, still in a good position. The Wood Answers are living, and that's basically the main thing with a Wood Elf team. Like you'll want to have catchers being a little bit developed so you can one turn, but the main thing is they've got nice and healthy Wood Answers, and especially plus strength Wood Answer. Okay. Then second game of the week was a draw between Totally Acting Up and the Shikar Ghoul Bears. So that's Necromantic versus Undead. The 2 dead teams of this. Well, actually, Nurgle's kind of dead as well. Kind of. I'm not sure if they're technically dead or not. So let's have a look at the Shikar Ghoul Bears. I'm not sure if they have played their week 2 game this week yet. No, they haven't yet. So this will be exactly how they were at the end of the match. So it was a 1-1 draw. They didn't get any levels, looking at the match report on Discord. But still in a good position with all their mighty blow. They've got the guard they need. Like having guard on the ghoul is really nice as well. The only other place you'd really want extra guard is maybe on the whites, and if you're lucky to get a double on the zombies as well. But sound team, looking good. And then we have have a look at the necromantic team, which I'm struggling to find. There we go. And so necromantic team, they leveled up 1 Perlman in this game to get block, and also the werewolf got tackle. So this is there's sort of two ways that you can sort of go with the second werewolf level. Like obviously, block is pretty almost completely standard as the first level. Second one tends to be the tackle or dodge. Um, it kind of depends on how you play with your werewolves. I think either is fine. Tackle is nicer if you manage to roll a double on your next skill up. But dodge is also good. But eventually you probably want to get dodge and sidestep as well, assuming they don't roll any doubles or stats, because doubles or stats basically make werewolves insane. But yeah, again, looking good. These guys have played their week 4 game, so they did have, I believe, a ghoul. Oh, am I looking at the wrong? Oh, hang on, let me check. Yeah, so they did have another ghoul, which was Blodge. Oh, and he has been replaced. So Bill Paxton has become Bill Paxton 2. He did have block, and it looks like he's met a premature end in week 4, but we'll leave that for week 4. Tessie Deans had a really great game against FC Armenstein, the Nurgle team, and that is not particularly surprising considering what the Nurgle team have to work with. I mean, you've got a couple of block, but no tackle, so it's going to be really hard for Amazons to do to get any of the Amazons down. Mighty Blow a little bit helps, and like plus strength will be nice, but it's one of those games where you can't really do a huge amount. Though they did in this level up the Pestigore and a Nurgle Warrior. So Christoph Roland leveled up in this game, and the Pestigore got Claw. Pretty standard choices, block and claw. Yeah. It looks like this Pestigore is going to be going to Mighty Blow Claw piling on before getting block. That is a kind of standard thing to just make sure your first killer gets developed quickly for when you're facing against teams like Orcs or Dwarves, where you kind of really need a Claw Plumber to do much with those, because you'll just be massively outguarded because you haven't got any guard at all yet. I think this Pestigore is also new. I think that Pestigore Jogielka was bought before the week 4 game, which they've already played. If I'm reading this correctly. Yeah. So that was a new purchase this week. Again, working on building out the full team before getting the third reroll is a little bit risky. Just because you still don't have that much block. But you kind of do need... You also do need probably at least 2 Pestigores to be properly competitive, just because otherwise you're really slow with some movement 5, some movement 4, and just like 1 movement 6. So getting the second Pestigore, I can see I would have maybe considered getting the third reroll before the third Pestigore, but it's down to Hermosep. Probably wants to get the third reroll definitely before the last Pestigore, just because you don't really need 4 Pestigores. Quite often what happens with teams with 4 Pestigores is one ends up sitting on the bench. So they can have basically I think it's because you want to have... Oh no, you could have 4 Pestigores on the pitch and have the Beast of Nurgle on the line of scrimmage. Because basically you need 3 people on the LOS, and if you've got 4 warriors, 3 Pestigores and the Beast of Nurgle, then you have 3 Rotters on the line of scrimmage. But if you're fielding all 4 Pestigores, that basically means someone has to go on the line of scrimmage. But again, with a plus strength Beast of Nurgle and not really any claw in this division, I guess that's fine as well. Yep. So, and then the other side of that was the Testudines, wherever they are. There they are. So yeah, Amazons being able to take advantage of their dodge and block and some guard, which the Nurgle didn't really have any of, apart from a bit of block. And let's have a look at if they leveled anyone. So they didn't actually level anyone. They just missed the next games, but with 3 touchdowns, this Mighty Blow Tackle Blitzer is getting very close to another level. Probably wants to get piling on, just because It is nice to have a killer. That is the next logical step. Plus strength is also getting close to a level. Interesting to think what would go next on plus strength blitzer. Probably guard and then stand firm. You could go tackle as well to make a second person who can easily be a sort of like a bull hawk, trying to get people that run down the pitch if you've got elves. But I think probably guard is going to be how it goes because you want to get them in the thick of it and be in the way. Other than that, movement 5 and agility 2 are still here. I think they were there last week as well. Um, oh no, I think last week we'd already seen them in this state, and so they haven't played a game with the movement 5 and agility 2 yet. They probably want to be fired. Movement 5 can probably go on the line, but agility 2 isn't great because you like part of the main attraction of having dodge is being able to dodge away, and obviously with agility 2 that becomes a lot harder. Still 75%, but still it would be nicer to have. Probably better just to have a loner or spare up the team value, or with 100,000 you could just buy a new one as well. Yeah, so the Tessie Deans are looking in a good place. Who was we have next? And then the last match of week 3 was Gorgothal Greys. The Chaos Dwarves beat the Halflings, which I think we can all say is not that surprising, all things considered. Having lots of Mighty Blow on your Chaos Dwarves, it's going to have to be a bad time for the Halflings. So, yes, both these guys leveled in the game. Claw, nice, very nice, especially on a guy that's already got Mighty Blow. Because having it before you have Mighty Blow is a little bit sad, just because Claw on its own, it's like it doesn't help that much in getting the CAS that you need to level up your blockers. That's very nice, and getting the first guard is super important. It's probably been finding it a little bit tricky so far without having any guard, just getting the blocks in. But now the guard is in there. That is absolutely great. Hobgoblin, Loner also managed to level up. I'm assuming that's because they got the MVP. Yep, Dead Hobgoblin probably got a CAS and then MVP'd into death. But I believe also this bull is I think fresh. Has you played any games? Yes. I mean no, he hasn't played any games, so he is fresh. So finally managed to have enough cash to replace the bull centaur, which is great. We want to try and get those leveled up as much as possible, especially to at least try and get some SPP on them to get them block and break tackle, because then at that point they are really useful for maneuvering and blitzing and what have you. And then let's have a look at the Halfling team. So the Halflings, they suffered quite a lot in this. Looking at the match report, we have 3 dead Halflings, a niggled Halfling, and an MNG'd Halfling. So Garrett Weatherby is the niggled one. He hasn't been fired yet, though I imagine he will be before the next game. Other than that, not a huge amount going on. There haven't been any levels. The trees are slowly getting a little bit of SPP, and the diving catch guy has got getting close to a 2nd level. But it is pretty hard to get SPP on halflings when, especially against chorfs, because probably what happened is, looking at this, there were 5 KOs and 8 CAS caused by the chorfs, meaning you probably didn't have much of a team to do anything with, so it's very hard to get SPP at that point. Yeah, so those are the matches for week 3. Looking at week 4, we have had a couple of games already played. I'm recording on this on Friday, so you guys are very eager to get your game in. But the Damn Yankees won against Totally Acting Up, and there's been a draw. Frankfurt thumbs for the Chicago Cool Bears. Probably because it's halflings, the halflings will not do so well again. Chicago Cool Bears have got those couple of Mighty Blow Whites which could put in work. They don't have the tackle, but it's not that hard to get 3 dice on halflings, and then just having the block and the power as the option is still quite likely to get them down. And then Gorgoth Allgrades versus the Testudines. It'll be interesting because this is going to be probably the hardest matchup for the Amazons in this. The Chorfs have just got their first claw, and then having to use it in the first match where it doesn't actually matter at all because everyone's AV7. But this will be an interesting one because does the amount of tackle that the Chorfs have and the amount of blow mean that the Amazons will quickly die, or does the guard that they've got and the plus strength blitzer they've got mean that they can fight their own and, if they're lucky, not take too many injuries? I think probably the Chorfs have a slight advantage just because of all the tackle and things. Though if they had a little bit more guard, I'd probably say they would definitely had the advantage. But with only one, it could be that they get sort of to a point where it's very hard for them to make blocks, and then it doesn't really matter that they've got the advantage in the tackle and the armor. Yeah, Sheikah Ghoulbears probably going to take it, just because it's halflings again. So let's have a look at the standings. Amazons doing well, 3-0-0. They may take a loss or a draw this week, I have a feeling, but they'll still be at the top. Who else hasn't played this week? So Sheikah Ghoulbears hasn't played this week, so they've only played 3 games, and the Chorfs haven't played this week, so they could, in theory, move up a little bit. If the Undead win, they'll be probably around 5th or something like that, 5th or 6th. If the Chorfs win, then they'll be in joint 2nd with the Wood Elves and the Dark Elves. And so it is a relatively close division at the moment. We're almost at the halfway point, and definitely at the top, it's possible that there could be about a 3 or 4 way race for the top, especially if the Chorfs win against the Amazons. Then there'll be 2-1-1, 2-1-1, 2-1-1, and a 3-0-1. So that could be anyone's game at there. Looking down towards the bottom, unfortunately, halflings have cemented their place probably towards the bottom just because they are halflings. If we might see a win or a draw from halflings later on in the season. However, it's still going to be very hard, and especially as people are getting more skills and getting more block and tackle and things, it'll be even harder for the halflings to do very much. That does mean they get more inducements, and they can get some nice things and pull off some shenanigans. Okay, that is about it. I'm sorry it's been a very quick one this week, without any clips. I've just had to rush this, as I don't have a huge amount of time over the weekend or this evening. I've been away for work a little bit, so I had very little time, and I thought I've got to rush this now, otherwise it's not going to get out until much later in the week when there's not much point. But yeah, so we'll yeah, that's it, and I will see you next week, where hopefully I should have a bit more time to do a little bit more of looking into the matchups and doing some clips. So don't forget to send me if you find any interesting plays or entertaining plays or just dumb shit happening, and I will see you next time.